My name is Rebecca Martinez, though everyone calls me Becca. And this is the story of how my life imploded in a bedroom in Phoenix, Arizona, on a Monday afternoon in October 2022. But to understand that moment, the moment that changed everything, I need to take you back to the beginning. I met Daniel Thompson in the summer of 2019 at a mutual friend's barbecue in Scottsdale. I was 26, working as a marketing coordinator for a tech startup, and he was 28, a sales manager at a pharmaceutical company. He had this smile that could light up a room, dark hair that fell just right, and brown eyes that seemed to see straight through to your soul. I know, it sounds like every cliché romance novel you've ever read. But that's exactly how it felt. Our courtship was a whirlwind. 6 months of dinners at the best restaurants in Phoenix, weekend trips to Sedona, late-night conversations on my apartment balcony where we'd talk until sunrise. He made me feel like I was the only woman in the world. When he proposed on New Year's Eve 2020, with fireworks exploding over Tempe Town Lake and tears streaming down both our faces, I thought I was the luckiest woman alive. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We got married in June 2021, a small ceremony at the Desert Botanical Garden with about 75 guests. My parents flew in from Miami. His family came from various parts of Arizona and California. It was beautiful. Succulents and sunset colors, mariachi music during cocktail hour, and a reception under string lights as the temperature finally dropped to something bearable. Daniel's sister, Vanessa Thompson, or Nessa as everyone called her, was his best woman. Yes, best woman, not maid of honor, because Daniel insisted his sister had to stand on his side. She was 31 at the time, worked as a real estate agent in Phoenix, and had a personality that could best be described as intense. She was tall, blonde, though not naturally, with sharp features and an even sharper tongue. From the moment I met her, I sensed she didn't approve of me, though she never said anything outright. "You sure you're ready for this?" she asked Daniel during the rehearsal dinner, loud enough for me to hear. "Marriage is serious business, little brother." "Never been more sure of anything," he'd replied, squeezing my hand under the table. Our daughter, Emily Rose, was born in March 2022. 7 pounds, 3 ounces of absolute perfection with her father's dark hair and what we hoped would be my green eyes. Those first few months were exhausting and beautiful in equal measure. Sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, the overwhelming love that crashes over you when you look at your child for the first time. Daniel was a good father in those early days. He'd take the 3 a.m. feeding, walk Emily around our 3-bedroom house in Chandler when she wouldn't sleep, make me laugh when I was so tired I wanted to cry. But somewhere around Emily's 4-month mark, things started to change. It started innocently enough, or at least that's what I told myself. "I'm going to swing by Nessa's place," Daniel would say on a Saturday afternoon. "She needs help moving some furniture." Or, "Nessa's having trouble with her laptop. I'll just run over there for a bit." Or, "Nessa wants to see the baby." At first, these visits happened maybe once every couple of weeks. Then once a week. Then twice a week. By August 2022, Daniel was going to his sister's apartment in North Phoenix 3, sometimes 4 times a week. He'd leave right after dinner saying he'd be back in an hour, and return 3 or 4 hours later smelling like perfume that wasn't mine and wasn't Nessa's usual scent either. "Where were you?" I'd ask, trying to keep the suspicion out of my voice. "At Nessa's, I told you. We just got talking and lost track of time." "For 4 hours? Becca, she's my sister. Are you seriously going to give me grief about spending time with my family?" And there it was, the card he'd play every single time. Family. How could I object to him spending time with family? What kind of wife would that make me? My best friend, Jasmine Chin, who I'd known since college at Arizona State, was the first person to voice what I'd been thinking but was too afraid to say out loud. We were having lunch at our favorite spot on Mill Avenue in Tempe, Emily sleeping peacefully in her stroller beside us. "Girl, I'm just going to say it," Jasmine said, pushing her black hair behind her ear in that way she did when she was about to deliver hard truth. "That's weird. No man spends that much time at his sister's place unless something else is going on." "You think he's cheating?" The words tasted bitter in my mouth. "I think you need to trust your gut. And your gut is clearly telling you something's wrong, or we wouldn't be having this conversation." He was right. My gut had been screaming at me for weeks, but I'd been ignoring it because I wanted so badly to believe in the fairy tale. I wanted to believe in the man who'd proposed to me under fireworks, who'd held my hand through 36 hours of labor, who'd looked at our daughter like she hung the moon. But wanting something to be true doesn't make it true. I started paying closer attention. I noticed how Daniel would shower immediately when he got home from Ness's. How he'd started password protecting his phone when he never had before. How he'd moved from sleeping curled around me to sleeping with his back to me, a canyon of space between us on our king-size bed. One evening in late September, I decided to call Nessa while Daniel was supposedly at her place. My hands shook as I dialed her number. "Hey, Becca." He sounded surprised. "What's up?" "Oh, I was just going to ask Daniel something, but I guess his phone's off." "Is he there?" There was a pause. A fraction of a second too long. "Yeah, he's here." "Want me to grab him?" "No, that's okay. Can wait." "What are you guys up to?" Another pause. "Just watching a movie. You know, sibling bonding time." I heard a door close in the background. A woman's laugh. "Not Ness's." "Cool. Well, I'll let you guys get back to it. Tell him to bring home milk." I hung up before she could respond, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might break through my ribcage. My mother, Patricia Martinez, visited from Miami the first week of October. She'd come to help with Emily and spend some quality time with her granddaughter. Mom had always been perceptive. Growing up, my brother Marco and I could never get away with anything because she had this sixth sense for detecting bullshit. "Where's Daniel?" she asked on her second night there when he'd left again at 7 p.m. "At Ness's." Again. That one word carried the weight of her judgment, her concern, her mother's intuition that something was very wrong. "He's always at Ness's, Mom." She set down her coffee cup and looked at me with those dark eyes that had comforted me through skinned knees and broken hearts and everything in between. "Mija, you know this isn't normal, right?" "I know." "So what are you going to do about it?" That was the question, wasn't it? What was I going to do about it? Hit the subscribe button below. Turn on the notification button for more interesting stories. October 17th, 2022. A Tuesday. The temperature in Phoenix had finally dropped to something reasonable. Mid-80s instead of the scorching hundreds we'd endured all summer. Emily was napping. Mom had gone to the grocery store. And Daniel called me at 2 p.m. "Hey babe, I'm going to head to Nessa's for a bit. She needs help with something." Something in his tone was off. Too casual. Too practiced. "Okay," I said, my mouth dry. "See you later." "Love you." "Love you too." I hung up and stood there in our kitchen with its white subway tile and gray cabinets. The kitchen we'd picked out together when we bought this house, and I made a decision. I was going to follow him. I called my mom. "Can you come back? I need to run out for a bit." "Everything okay?" "No. But it will be." She heard something in my voice, that same steel she'd passed down to me, and said, "I'll be there in 10 minutes. True to her word, she walked through the door 9 minutes later, took one look at my face and said, "Go. Do what you need to do. Emily and I will be fine." I got in my white Honda CR-V and drove toward North Phoenix, toward Nessa's apartment complex off Cave Creek Road. Daniel's black Jeep Wrangler was in the parking lot, exactly where I knew it would be. I sat in my car for 20 minutes watching the second-floor apartment, building up my courage. My phone buzzed. A text from Jasmine. "You got this, whatever you're doing. Call me after." I took a deep breath, got out of the car and climbed the outdoor stairs to apartment 217. The door was unlocked. Of course it was. Why would they need to lock it? Who would possibly show up? I could hear music playing inside. Something low and jazzy. I pushed the door open. Nessa was in the kitchen wearing yoga pants and a tank top, a glass of white wine in her hand. When she saw me, her face went through a series of expressions: surprise, guilt, panic, in about 2 seconds flat. "Becca. What are you?" But she didn't finish the sentence. Instead, she turned and ran down the hallway toward the back bedroom. Everything inside me went cold and hot at the same time. I followed her, my footsteps loud on the hardwood floor. "Daniel," Nessa was saying as I reached the bedroom doorway. "Daniel, Becca's." I pushed past her into the bedroom. And there was the image that would be burned into my brain for the rest of my life. My husband. On top of another woman. In his sister's bed. The woman was a brunette I'd never seen before, pretty in a conventional way, younger than me, maybe 23 or 24. Her eyes went wide with horror when she saw me. Daniel scrambled off her, pulling a sheet up, his face draining of all color. "Becca. Becca, I can explain. Explain. My voice didn't sound like my own. It sounded like it was coming from very far away. Explain what, exactly? How you're fucking someone else. In your sister's apartment? While I'm at home with our 4-month-old daughter. It didn't mean. He was stumbling over his words, reaching for his pants. The other woman was crying, trying to cover herself with a pillow. Who are you? I asked her. My name's Ashley. Ashley Reeves. I'm so sorry, I didn't know he was married. Shut up, Nessa snapped at her. Then she turned to me, and this is the part that still makes my blood boil. This is the part that sealed her fate, though she didn't know it yet. Nessa looked at me with something like pity mixed with disdain and said, Becca, why are you making such a big deal out of this? Why are you begging? Men are men. This is what they do. You need to grow up and accept it. Excuse me. Daniel's a man. He has needs. You just had a baby. You can't expect him to just wait around while you get your body back. Stop being so dramatic. Something broke inside me in that moment. Not just my heart, that had shattered the second I saw Daniel on top of Ashley. No, this was something deeper. This was my entire understanding of loyalty, of family, of what I'd signed up for when I said I do. I looked at Daniel, who was now standing there in his boxers, his face a mask of guilt and shame. Do you agree with her? He opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. Becca, please. Do. Agree. With her. It's complicated. That was all I needed to hear. I turned and walked out of that apartment without another word. I heard Daniel calling after me, heard him scrambling to get dressed and follow me, but I was already down the stairs in my car, pulling out of the parking lot. My phone rang 16 times on the drive home. Daniel. NASA. Daniel. NASA. Daniel. I didn't answer any of them. When I got home, my mother took one look at my face and pulled me into her arms. I sobbed into her shoulder for what felt like hours while Emily napped peacefully, unaware that her family was falling apart. Daniel came home that evening. I'd already called a locksmith to change the locks, but he arrived before the locksmith did, so I had to face him. Becca, please. Please, can we talk about this? There's nothing to talk about. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. But it was just once. Don't lie to me. Not anymore. How long have you been going to Nessa's to fuck Ashley? Or is it multiple women? Is that why you've been going there 3-4 times a week? He couldn't meet my eyes. 6 weeks. 6 weeks. While I was home, exhausted, recovering from childbirth, taking care of our daughter alone because he was at his sister's. 6 weeks of lies. Get out. This is my house too. I don't care. Get out or I'm calling the police. My mother appeared in the doorway, her phone in her hand. You heard her. Leave. Now. Daniel looked between us and maybe he saw something in our faces. Some combination of rage and finality, because he grabbed his keys and left. The locksmith arrived an hour later. I filed for divorce the next morning. Arizona is a no-fault divorce state, which meant I didn't need to prove infidelity, but I had Jasmine come with me to Nessa's apartment to take photos of the bedroom, to document everything. Ashley had left, probably ran as soon as she could, but the evidence was there. My lawyer, a fierce woman in her 50s named Margaret Sullivan, looked over everything and said, this is going to be straightforward. You'll get primary custody, child support, and your fair share of assets. He screwed up and he knows it. He was right. Daniel didn't fight me on anything. He signed whatever I put in front of him, moved into an apartment in Tempe, and agreed to supervised visits with Emily until she was older. I think part of him was relieved not to have to look at me anymore, not to have to face what he'd destroyed. But Nessa was another story. She called me 2 days after I found them. Becca, we need to talk. We have nothing to talk about. You're breaking up our family over this? Over something that doesn't even matter. I hung up. She texted me, you're being dramatic and selfish. Think about Emily. She needs her father. I blocked her number. She showed up at my house. My mother answered the door and told her in Spanish, colorful Spanish that I won't repeat here, to leave and never come back. The divorce was finalized in January 2023. I kept the house, got primary custody of Emily and received child support. Daniel could see his daughter every other weekend in my presence until Emily turned 2. I thought that was the end of it. I thought I could move on, rebuild my life, focus on being the best mother I could be to Emily. But Nessa's words echoed in my head day after day, night after night. Why are you making such a big deal out of this? Men are men. This is what they do. Life moved on the way it always does, whether you're ready or not. I threw myself into work, got a promotion to marketing manager, and spent every moment I wasn't working being a mom to Emily. She was growing so fast, sitting up, then crawling, then taking those wobbly first steps. Each milestone felt bittersweet, joy tinged with grief for the family I'd thought we'd be. I saw Daniel on his custody weekends. We were civil, mostly for Emily's sake, but I felt nothing when I looked at him. Not anger anymore. Not love. Just nothing. He'd become a stranger, someone I used to know. Through mutual friends, I heard that Daniel and Ashley had broken up a month after I'd caught them. Apparently, the reality of dating a newly divorced father with a baby wasn't as exciting as sneaking around had been. Who would have thought? Jasmine and I had lunch every Sunday, our sacred ritual. She'd been my rock through everything. The discovery, the divorce, the long nights when I couldn't sleep because my brain wouldn't shut off. "You're doing amazing, you know that?" she said one Sunday in June 2023 as we sat at a patio restaurant in Old Town Scottsdale. "Look at you. You've got your career on track, Emily's thriving, you're finally smiling again." "I am, aren't I?" I said and meant it. I didn't think I'd ever feel happy again, but I do. "Good. You deserve it. And Daniel doesn't deserve you, never did." That's when I saw her. NASA. She was walking down the street with a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with sandy blonde hair, an athletic build, and an easy smile. He was holding her hand and she was laughing at something he'd said, her head thrown back in that theatrical way she had. "Is that Nessa?" Jasmine asked, following my gaze. "Yeah." "Who's the guy?" I pulled out my phone and texted my friend Rachel, who worked in real estate and knew everyone in the Phoenix market. "Do you know who Nessa Thompson is dating?" The response came back in seconds. "OMG, yes. Marcus Sullivan. He's a developer, super successful, really nice guy. They've been together like 6 months. Why? Marcus Sullivan." I filed the name away. Over the next few weeks I saw more of them on social media. Nessa and Marcus. She'd always been active on Instagram and now her feed was full of couple photos. Marcus at a Suns game. Marcus and Nessa at dinner at some upscale restaurant. Marcus with his arm around her at a charity gala, both of them dressed to the nines. And then in August 2023, Nessa posted a photo of her left hand with a diamond ring that probably cost more than my car. "He asked, I said yes," the caption read. "Can't wait to spend forever with this amazing man." 537 likes. 92 comments of congratulations. I stared at that photo for a long time. Then I looked up Marcus Sullivan. Sullivan Development Group. Owner and specialized in commercial and residential properties throughout Arizona. 40 years old, divorced 3 years ago, no kids. From what I could find on LinkedIn and various business articles, he was well respected in the Phoenix development community, involved in charity work, coached youth basketball on weekends. He looked nice, like a genuinely good guy. And he was engaged to a woman who thought infidelity was just something men did, something women should accept and shut up about. I should have let it go. I should have focused on my own healing, my own life, my daughter. I should have been the bigger person. But I couldn't stop hearing her voice. "Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" I couldn't stop seeing her smirk when she'd said it. I couldn't stop thinking about how she'd enabled Daniel's affair, had probably enabled other affairs, had literally provided a space for him to destroy our marriage. And now she was getting her fairy tale. Her successful, handsome fiancé. Her big diamond ring. Her happily ever after. Why did she get that when she'd helped take mine away? I didn't plan it. At least that's what I told myself. It was September 2023, a charity fundraiser for youth sports programs at a hotel in downtown Phoenix. My company had bought a table and as marketing manager, I was expected to attend. I wore a navy blue dress that hugged my curves I'd worked hard to reclaim after having Emily, and heels that made my legs look fantastic. And there he was. Marcus Sullivan. Standing at the bar alone waiting for drinks. I could have walked away. Should have walked away. Instead I walked up to the bar and stood next to him. "The service is slow tonight," I said, smiling. He turned to me and up close he was even more handsome. Blue eyes, a strong jaw, that smile that seemed genuine. Tell me about it. I've been waiting 10 minutes for 2 glasses of wine. 2? Let me guess. You're here with your fiancé. His eyebrows rose slightly. How did you? Lucky guess. I held out my hand. Rebecca Martinez. But everyone calls me Becca. Marcus Sullivan. His handshake was firm, warm. Nice to meet you. Congratulations on your engagement, by the way. I saw it on Instagram. Nessa Thompson, right? Something flickered across his face. Surprised that I knew his fiancée, maybe a little wariness. You know Nessa? We've met. She's my ex-husband's sister. Now I had his full attention. You're Daniel's ex-wife? Guilty as charged. The bartender finally appeared with Marcus's 2 glasses of wine. He thanked him, then turned back to me. I should probably get back to your fiancé. Of course. It was nice meeting you, Marcus. I could feel his eyes on me as I walked away. 3 days later I ran into him again. The grocery store in Scottsdale, of all places. We were both in the produce section reaching for avocados at the same time, and we both laughed. We have to stop meeting like this, he said. Seriously. People will talk. We chatted for 15 minutes, just small talk. His latest development project, my company's new marketing campaign, the ridiculous Phoenix heat that refused to quit even though it was September. He was easy to talk to, funny, attentive in a way that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. I didn't flirt. Not really. I was just friendly. When we parted ways, he said, "Hey, would you want to grab coffee sometime? I'd love to hear more about what happened with you and Daniel." Nessa's told me her version, but I feel like there's probably another side to the story. My heart started beating faster. Sure. I'd like that. We exchanged numbers. We met at a coffee shop in Central Phoenix on a Thursday afternoon. Neutral territory. Public. Innocent. I told him everything. The whole sordid story. The frequent visits to Nessa's apartment, the day I followed Daniel, what I found, what Nessa said. All of it. Marcus listened, his expression growing darker and darker. She said what? He finally asked when I got to the part about Nessa's reaction. Why are you making such a big deal out of this? Men are men. This is what they do. Stop being so dramatic. He sat back in his chair, running his hand through his hair. Jesus Christ. She enabled the whole thing, Marcus. She knew he was cheating. She provided the location. And then she acted like I was crazy for being upset about it. That's... He shook his head. That's not the Nessa I know. Isn't it, though? He didn't answer. We talked for 2 hours. He told me about his divorce. His ex-wife had cheated on him with her personal trainer. A cliché so perfect it was almost funny. He told me about how much it had destroyed him, how long it took him to trust again. When I met Nessa, he said, I thought she was different. Strong, independent, knew what she wanted. But lately... What? I don't know. She's been distant. Spends a lot of time on her phone. Gets defensive when I ask who she's texting. He laughed bitterly. Classic signs, right? But I keep telling myself I'm being paranoid because of what happened with my ex. Maybe you're not being paranoid. We exchanged a long look across the table. Can I ask you something? He said. Sure. Why did you want to have coffee with me? Really? I could have lied. Should have lied. Instead I said, honestly? At first I think part of me wanted to warn you about Nessa. But now. I paused, searching for the right words. Now I think I just wanted to talk to someone who understands what it feels like to be betrayed. Yeah, he said softly. I get that. We started meeting regularly after that. Coffee once a week, then twice a week, then lunch. Always in public. Always innocent. We never touched beyond a friendly hug goodbye. We never crossed any lines. But there was something building between us. An attraction, sure. Marcus was gorgeous and I'd been alone for over a year. But more than that, there was an understanding. A connection forged in the shared experience of betrayal. It happened in November 2023, 2 months after that first coffee. Marcus called me on a Thursday night, his voice strained. Can we meet? I need to talk to someone. What's wrong? I found texts on Nessa's phone. Between her and some guy named Jake from her gym. They're having an affair. My heart sank. Not because I was surprised, I wasn't, but because I knew what this meant for Marcus. I knew that pain. Where are you? Home. Scottsdale. I'm coming over. I called my mom who was staying with me for a few weeks to help with Emily. I need to go out. It's important. She looked at me with those knowing eyes but just said, go. I've got Emily. Marcus's house was beautiful. A modern design with clean lines, glass walls, a pool in the back. He answered the door looking wrecked. Eyes red, hair disheveled, still in his work clothes from earlier that day. I'm sorry for calling you like this, he said. I didn't know who else to talk to. Don't apologize. That's what friends are for. We sat on his couch and he showed me the text. They'd been going on for 6 weeks. Explicit messages, photos, plans to meet up. The whole 9 yards. I confronted her, he said. She denied it at first, then got angry, said I was invading her privacy by looking at her phone. Then she actually said, and this is the part that really got me, she said that physical stuff doesn't mean anything. That she loves me and this other thing is just recreational. Recreational, I repeated. Yeah. We sat in silence for a moment. I'm sorry, I said. I know that doesn't help, but I am. You deserved better than this. So did you. He turned to look at me and I saw it in his eyes. The same pain, the same anger, the same need to feel something other than betrayal. Becca, he said quietly. Yeah. I know this is probably a terrible idea, but I kissed him. Or he kissed me. I'm honestly not sure who moved first, but suddenly we were kissing, his hands in my hair, my hands on his chest, all that restrained attraction from 2 months of coffee dates pouring out in one moment. We made it to his bedroom. I won't go into details, that's private even in a story like this, but I will say that it was different from anything I'd experienced with Daniel. Marcus touched me like I was precious, looked at me like I was beautiful, paid attention to what I wanted in a way Daniel never had. Afterward, we lay in his bed, the city lights of Scottsdale twinkling through the floor-to-ceiling windows. What did we just do? He asked. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. Do you regret it? I thought about it. Did I regret it? I should have. I'd just slept with my ex-sister-in-law's fiancé. I'd crossed a line I'd sworn I never would. But when I searched my feelings, all I found was a savage satisfaction. No, I said. Do you? No. He rolled over to face me. Where do we go from here? I don't know. But Marcus, I need to be honest with you. Part of me did this because I wanted to hurt Nessa the way she hurt me. I know, he said. You know. I'm not stupid, Becca. I've known from the start that there was an element of revenge in this. But here's the thing, I don't care. Because I like you. I've liked you since that first conversation at the bar. And tonight I needed this. I needed to feel something other than humiliated and betrayed. So what now? Now I break up with Nessa, which I was going to do anyway after finding those texts. And then, if you want, maybe we see where this goes. It should have felt wrong. It should have felt like we were just two broken people using each other. But it didn't. It felt like the first right thing that had happened in a long time. Marcus broke up with Nessa the next day. He called me afterward. How did she take it? I asked. About as well as you'd expect. Lots of tears, lots of, how could you do this to me? Lots of promises to change. When I told her I knew about Jake, she tried to flip it on me, said I drove her to it by being emotionally distant lately. Classic. Yeah. Then she asked if there was someone else. I told her yes. My heart started pounding. You told her about me? Not specifically. I just said I'd met someone who actually appreciated me and didn't think cheating was recreational. How did she react to that? She called me a hypocrite and stormed out. I'm sure I'll hear from her again, but for now it's over. The engagement is off. We started dating officially after that. Real dates. Dinners, movies, walks at Papago Park with Emily in her stroller. My mother loved him, which was saying something because she hadn't approved of anyone I'd dated since Daniel. He's good for you, Mija, she said one evening after Marcus had left. I see the way he looks at you. That's a man who knows what he has. Emily adored him too. She'd giggle when he'd play peekaboo with her, reach for him when he walked in the room. It was everything I'd wanted with Daniel, everything I'd thought I had until it all fell apart. For 3 months we existed in this bubble of happiness. Sure, there were complications. People talked about how fast we'd gotten together after his breakup with Nessa, whispers at social events about whether we'd been together before the breakup. But we weathered it together. Then in February 2024 Nessa found out. I was at Marcus's house on a Saturday afternoon. Emily was with Daniel for the weekend. He'd finally graduated to unsupervised visits. And Marcus and I were making dinner together, laughing over a bottle of wine as we attempted some complicated pasta recipe we'd found online. The doorbell rang. Marcus went to answer it and I heard her voice before I saw her. "We need to talk. Now." "Nessa." She pushed past Marcus into the house, and when she saw me standing in the kitchen wearing one of Marcus's old ASU t-shirts, her face transformed into something ugly. "You," she breathed. "It's you." "Nessa." Marcus started, but she cut him off. "Don't. Just don't." She turned to me, her perfectly made-up face crumpling. "How could you? How could you do this to me?" And there was the moment I'd been both dreading and craving for months. "How could I do this to you?" I said, setting down my wine glass very carefully. "That's what you want to ask me." "You seduced my fiancé, 10 ex-fiancé," Marcus interjected. "We broke up before anything happened with Becca." "Barely. And why?" "Because of her, because she poisoned you against me." "No," Marcus said firmly. "Because you were cheating on me with Jake. Remember that part?" Nessa's face flushed. "That was nothing. That was just recreational," I supplied. "Just physical. Didn't mean anything." She whipped her head to look at me. "Stay out of this." "Can't do that, Nessa. Yeah, I'm part of this now. I'm dating Marcus. We're happy together. And honestly, your opinion on our relationship matters about as much as your opinion on my marriage mattered. I was trying to help Daniel. You were helping him destroy our family." My voice rose despite my best efforts to stay calm. "You gave him a place to cheat. You enabled it. You encouraged it. And then when I caught him, when I found my husband on top of another woman in your bed, you told me I was making a big deal out of nothing. You told me to just accept it because that's what men do. I was just being realistic. You were being cruel. And now that someone's done to you what you helped Daniel do to me, you want sympathy? You want me to feel bad." Nessa's eyes were brimming with tears, mascara starting to run down her cheeks. "I loved him," she whispered, looking at Marcus. "I really loved you." "Then you shouldn't have cheated on me," Marcus said, not unkindly. "And for what it's worth, Nessa, I did love you too. But I love Becca more. She understands me in a way you never did." That broke something in Nessa. She sank down onto Marcus's couch, shoulders shaking with sobs. Part of me, the part that was still capable of empathy despite everything, felt sorry for her. But the larger part, the part that had been wounded and humiliated and told to just accept betrayal, felt nothing but cold satisfaction. "You should go," Marcus said gently. Nessa looked up at him, then at me, and I saw the moment she understood. This wasn't just about Marcus moving on. This was about me, about revenge, about making her feel what I'd felt. "This is deliberate," she said, her voice hoarse. "This whole thing, you did this on purpose. To hurt me." I could have denied it. Could have claimed it was all just coincidence, just two wounded people finding each other. Instead, I looked her in the eye and said, "Remember what you told me that day in your apartment. Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" "Well, Nessa, I'm making a big deal out of this. I'm making the biggest deal possible. And I'm not sorry." She left after that, stumbling to her car in her designer heels, crying so hard she could barely see. Marcus turned to me. "Did you mean that? About doing this deliberately to hurt her?" I should have lied. Should have said no, of course not, I fell for you organically. But I'd had enough of lies. At first, maybe, part of me wanted her to feel what I felt. But Marcus, what we have now, that's real. I love you. Not because you're Nessa's ex, but because you're you. Because you're kind and funny and you love Emily like she's your own. Because you see me, really see me, in a way Daniel never did. He pulled me into his arms. "I love you too. And honestly, I don't care what the motivation was at the start. I care about where we are now. We should have seen the warning signs then. Should have realized that revenge, even when it feels justified, always has consequences." Over the next few weeks, Nessa tried everything to get Marcus back. Texts, calls, showing up at his office, even cornering him at a mutual friend's party. Each time he was firm but polite. It was over, he'd moved on, he wished her well, but they had no future together. She showed up at my house one evening when I was putting Emily to bed. My mother answered the door. "I need to talk to Becca," Nessa said. She's busy. It's important. My mother, bless her, said, everything important between you and my daughter has already been said. Go home, Vanessa. But Nessa pushed past her, something wild in her eyes. I came down the stairs to find her standing in my living room, looking around at the life I'd built after her brother destroyed the first one. Nice place, she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Guess the divorce settlement was good. What do you want, Nessa? I want you to leave Marcus alone. I want you to admit that you only got with him to hurt me. I want you to stop destroying my life the way you destroyed your own marriage. I destroyed my marriage? Actually laughed. Is that what you tell yourself? That I somehow drove Daniel to cheat? You were cold to him after Emily was born. He told me. Said you never wanted to be intimate anymore, that you'd let yourself go. Stop. My voice cut through her words like a knife. Stop right there. I had just given birth. I was exhausted, healing, taking care of a newborn while your brother spent every evening at your place screwing someone else. So don't you dare blame me for his choices. He made mistakes. He made choices. And you enabled them. You don't get to play the victim now, Nessa. You don't get to show up at my house and act like I'm the villain in this story. You're sleeping with my ex-fiancé. How is that not villainous? Because he's not your fiancé anymore. Because he broke up with you before anything happened between us. Because what I do with my life, with my relationships, is none of your damn business. Emily started crying upstairs, startled by the raised voices. You need to leave, I said. Now. Or what? Or I call the police and have you removed for trespassing. Your choice. She left, but not before saying one more thing. You haven't seen the last of me. You think you've won? You haven't. I'm going to make sure Marcus sees what kind of person you really are. Despite Nessa's threats, life moved forward. Marcus and I got more serious. He essentially moved into my place in Chandler. Kept his house in Scottsdale for his office but spent every night with Emily and me. We were a family in everything but name. In April 2024, Marcus proposed that we were at the Desert Botanical Garden, the same place where Daniel and I had gotten married 3 years earlier. I'd worried it would feel wrong to go back there, to overlay new memories on top of painful ones, but Marcus insisted. We're not erasing your past, he'd said. We're writing a new chapter. And sometimes the best revenge on bad memories is making better ones in the same place. He proposed at sunset with Emily in a baby carrier on his chest, her tiny hands reaching for the ring box as he opened it. Rebecca Martinez, he said, you came into my life when I was broken and you showed me what real love looks like. You're strong and brave and the best mother I've ever seen. I want to spend the rest of my life with you and Emily, building something beautiful together. Will you marry me? I said yes through tears and laughter and Emily's delighted squeals. We posted a photo on social media that evening. Marcus, Emily and me, my hand extended to show off the ring. Within an hour we had hundreds of likes and comments, including one from Nessa. Wow. Fast workers. Guess true love conquers all. I blocked her immediately. But that night, lying in bed with Marcus snoring softly beside me and Emily in her crib across the room, I felt the first stirrings of something that might have been guilt that I'd gotten what I wanted. I'd found love again, found a man who treated me well, found happiness after devastation. And yes, part of the sweetness was knowing that Nessa had lost what I'd gained. That she was alone while I was building a new family. But was I any better than her? Was using Marcus to hurt her, even if I'd genuinely fallen for him, really justice? Or was it just revenge dressed up as righteousness? I pushed the thoughts away. I deserved happiness. After what Daniel and Nessa had done to me, I deserved this, didn't I? We set the wedding date for September 2024. A year after we'd met, 2 years after my divorce was finalized. It felt right. Enough time had passed that no one could accuse us of moving too fast, but not so much time that it felt like we were hesitant. Jasmine was my maid of honor, of course. My mother insisted on helping with all the planning, turning into a full-on wedding coordinator. Daniel had agreed to keep Emily the weekend of the wedding. He'd actually been surprisingly mature about the whole thing, even congratulating me when I told him about the engagement. I'm glad you found someone good, he'd said. I know I fucked up. I know I didn't deserve you. But Emily deserves a good stepfather, and from what I can tell, Marcus is that. He is, I'd agreed. And Becca, I'm sorry. I know I said it before, but I mean it. I'm sorry for everything. I'd nodded, accepted his apology and moved on. Daniel was the past. Marcus was the future. The only cloud on the horizon was Nessa. She'd gotten engaged again in July. To Jake, the gym guy she'd cheated on Marcus with. The engagement was announced on Instagram with a photo that screamed, desperate for attention. Nessa in a bikini on a beach somewhere, Jake behind her, a modest ring on her finger. Moving on and moving up. The caption read. Sometimes the wrong relationship leads you to the right one. Marcus showed me the post. Does it bother you, he asked, that she's engaged? Oh, I hope she's happy. I really do. And I meant it. Or at least I thought I did. But then Nessa started showing up at places she knew we'd be. The gym Marcus and I went to. The coffee shop where we had our first date. The restaurant where Marcus had proposed. She'd be there with Jake, being overly affectionate, making sure we saw them. She's trying to make us jealous, Marcus said after the third coincidental encounter. It's not working, I replied. But it was getting annoying. Then 3 weeks before my wedding, Nessa called me. I almost didn't answer. I'd unblocked her number for some reason I couldn't remember. But curiosity got the better of me. What do you want, Nessa? I want to talk. In person. Please. Something in her voice made me agree. We met at a Starbucks in Tempe, neutral territory. She looked different. Thinner, with dark circles under her eyes that even her expertly applied makeup couldn't fully hide. The confident, sharp-edged woman I'd known was gone, replaced by someone who looked lost. Thank you for meeting me, she said. What do you want? I want to apologize. I blinked. Excuse me. I'm apologizing. For everything. For what I did during your marriage to Daniel, for what I said that day in my apartment, for how I treated you after. You were right. About all of it. I sat back in my chair, studying her face for signs of manipulation. What brought this on? Therapy, she said with a brittle laugh. Jake insisted after I had a meltdown last month. Turns out I have some issues with boundaries and enabling toxic behavior. Who you? I knew, I said dryly. Yeah. You did. She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. My therapist helped me see that I've been repeating patterns from my childhood. My dad cheated on my mom constantly and she just accepted it. Acted like it was normal. I internalized that and then I perpetuated it with Daniel. And now you're seeing Jake, who you cheated on Marcus with. I know. It's not lost on me that I'm with someone I betrayed Marcus for. But Jake and I are trying to build something real, something honest. He knows I have work to do on myself. Good for you, I said and meant it about 50%. Becca, I know you and Marcus are getting married soon. And I know part of your relationship started as revenge against me. But I also know that you two love each other now. I can see it. And I'm happy for you, I really am. Are you? I'm trying to be. It's hard watching someone else have what I wanted. But I made my choices and I'm living with the consequences. We sat in silence for a moment. I accept your apology, I finally said. I'm not saying we're friends or that everything's forgiven, but I accept that you're trying to grow. That's all I can ask for. She stood up. I hope you have a beautiful wedding. And Becca, I really am sorry. For everything. She left and I sat there staring at my own untouched coffee, feeling strange. Hollow almost. Because wasn't her suffering supposed to feel better than this? I went to Marcus's house that evening. He was in his home office working on plans for a new development. We need to talk, I said. He looked up, immediately concerned. What's wrong? Nessa apologized to me today. She what? I told him about the conversation, about her therapy, about her apparent growth. Do you believe her? He asked. I don't know. Part of me does. Part of me thinks it's just another manipulation. What does this mean for us? And that was the question, wasn't it? Marcus, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Always. Did you fall in love with me, or did you fall in love with the idea of revenge against Nessa? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he got up, walked over to me and took my hands. At first, he said carefully, I think there was an element of that. When I found out about Nessa cheating, I was so angry. And then there you were, this beautiful, smart woman who'd been hurt by her family, who understood what I was feeling. Did that make me more attracted to you initially? Maybe. My stomach dropped. But Becca, what I feel for you now has nothing to do with Nessa. I love you because you're strong but vulnerable. Because you're an incredible mother. Because you make me laugh. Because you challenge me. Because when I wake up next to you, I can't imagine my life any other way. If Nessa had never existed, I would still love you exactly as much as I do. How do I know that's true? Because I'm choosing you every day. Not as revenge against someone else, but because you're who I want. If this was just about hurting Nessa, I would have ended things once she was hurt. But I didn't. I stayed. I proposed. I'm planning a life with you. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. What about you? He asked. Did you fall in love with me or with the revenge? Fair question. Both, I admitted. At first I think I wanted to hurt her the way she hurt me. But Marcus, somewhere along the way you became everything to me. You and Emily, this life we're building, that's real. That's not revenge. That's love. Then we're okay? Think so. But Marcus, I need to let go of the revenge part. I need to stop thinking about Nessa when I'm with you. This has to be about us, not about her. I agree. So no more taking satisfaction in her suffering? He smiled. Well, maybe a little satisfaction. Is that terrible? Probably. But I get it. We stood there in his office holding each other and I felt something shift. A letting go of the anger that had been driving me for 2 years. It would always be part of my story. What Nessa and Daniel had done, how they'd hurt me, but it didn't have to be the whole story anymore. September 28, 2024. The wedding day. We got married at a small resort in Sedona, red rocks rising majestically in the background. 50 guests, close friends and family only. Emily was the flower girl, scattering petals in a white dress and tiny sneakers because she refused to wear the fancy shoes we'd bought. My mother walked me down the aisle, tears streaming down her face. Daniel sat in the back row with his new girlfriend. A nice woman named Patricia who worked as a teacher and seemed stable and kind. Jasmine stood beside me at the altar and Marcus's brother stood beside him. When the officiant asked if anyone objected to the union, I held my breath, half expecting Nessa to burst through the doors. But she didn't. The ceremony continued without interruption. I, Marcus, take you, Rebecca, to be my lawfully wedded wife, Marcus said, his voice steady, his eyes locked on mine. I promise to love you not as revenge against the past, but as celebration of the future. I promise to be a father to Emily and a partner to you. I promise to choose you every day for the rest of my life. I'd written my own vows too. I, Rebecca, take you, Marcus, to be my lawfully wedded husband. I promise to let go of the pain that brought us together and hold tight to the love that keeps us together. I promise to build a life with you that's about us, not about anyone else. I promise to choose healing over hurt, love over revenge. We kissed. Everyone cheered. Emily squealed and ran up to hug both of us, nearly knocking over the decorative arch in her enthusiasm. The reception was perfect. Good food, great music, terrible dancing from everyone after a few drinks. My mother gave a speech that made everyone cry. Jasmine gave a speech that made everyone laugh. Marcus's brother gave a speech that was equal parts roasting and genuine emotion. At midnight, as the party was winding down, I stood on the balcony of our suite overlooking the red rocks, Marcus's jacket around my shoulders. Happy? He asked, joining me. So happy. You. Couldn't be happier if I tried. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Congratulations on your wedding. I saw the photos. You look beautiful. I mean that. I showed it to Marcus. How do you feel? He asked. I don't know. It's weird. Part of me wants to feel triumphant like I won. But mostly I just feel free. Like a chapter is finally closing. Good. That's good. I didn't respond to Nessa's text. There was nothing left to say. March 2025. Marcus and I had been married for 6 months, and life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Emily was 2.5, talking in full sentences, demanding stories and snacks in equal measure. Marcus's business was thriving. My career was going well. We'd even started talking about having another baby. Then Nessa called. I was at work when my phone rang, her name flashing on the screen. I'd never removed her from my contacts after our coffee meeting. I stepped into an empty conference room to answer. Nessa. Becca. Her voice was rough, like she'd been crying. I need your help. What's wrong? It's Jake. He's cheating on me. With multiple women. I found out yesterday. And I know what you're thinking. that I deserve it, that it's karma. I'm not thinking that, I interrupted, surprised to find I meant it. Where are you? Home. Phoenix. Have you talked to your therapist? She's out of town this week. I don't have anyone else to call. Daniel and I aren't speaking after everything. My parents are useless. And my friends, they all think I'm getting what I deserve. Her voice broke. Maybe I am. You're not, I said firmly. No one deserves to be cheated on. Not me, not Marcus, and not you. After what I did to you. That doesn't mean you deserve this. Listen, do you have somewhere you can go? Someone to be with? No. That's why I called you. This was insane. This woman had enabled my husband's affair, had mocked my pain, had done everything possible to make my life hell. And now she was calling me for help. Give me 2 hours, I said. I'll be there. I called Marcus on the drive to Phoenix. You're not going to believe this. After I explained, he was quiet for a moment. Are you sure about this? No. But I think I need to do it anyway. Not for her. For me. To prove that I'm not going to become someone who revels in other people's pain, even when they've hurt me. You're a better person than I am. We both know that's not true. Nessa's apartment was exactly as I remembered it. The same place where I'd found Daniel with Ashley. My stomach churned as I knocked on the door. She opened it and she looked worse than I'd ever seen her. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, eyes swollen from crying. She was wearing pajamas in the middle of the afternoon. You came, she said, sounding genuinely surprised. I came. We sat on her couch, not the one from the bedroom, thank God, and she told me everything. How Jake had been cheating for months. How she'd found texts, photos, evidence of hotel stays. How he'd admitted to it when confronted and then tried to justify it by saying she'd cheated on Marcus, so she couldn't hold him to a different standard. The worst part, she said, is that he's right. I don't have any moral high ground here. I destroyed my relationship with Marcus by cheating, and now Jake's doing the same thing to me. It's like the universe is punishing me. It's not the universe, I said. It's just that you pick someone who has the same flawed understanding of relationships that you used to have. Used to have. Nessa, you've been in therapy for 6 months. You've been working on yourself. The fact that you recognize what Jake's doing is wrong shows growth. But I did it to Marcus first. And that was wrong. And you've acknowledged that, apologized for it, done the work to understand why you did it. You're not the same person who enabled Daniel's affair or cheated on Marcus. She looked at me with something like hope. You really believe that? I'm here, aren't I? We talked for hours. About relationships, about patterns, about how easy it is to perpetuate the cycles we grew up with. About how hard it is to break them. What should I do? She finally asked. About Jake? Leave him. You know you should. You deserve someone who's faithful, who respects you. But more importantly, you need time alone to keep working on yourself before you get into another relationship. But I'll be alone. Alone isn't the worst thing. Trust me. I was alone for a year after Daniel, and it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I learned who I was without a man defining me. I don't know if I can do that. You can. You're stronger than you think. When I left 3 hours later, Nessa hugged me. A real hug, not the stiff obligatory ones from family gatherings. Thank you, she whispered. I don't deserve your kindness. Maybe not. But I'm giving it anyway. On the drive home, I called Marcus again. How'd it go? Weird. Good weird. I actually helped her. And it didn't hurt to do it. If anything, it felt freeing. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me too. A month later, Nessa called to tell me she'd broken up with Jake and moved into a smaller apartment. She was focusing on therapy, on work, on herself. I wanted to thank you again, she said, for helping me when you had every reason not to. You're welcome. And Becca, I wanted to say, I'm sorry. Really truly sorry. Not just for what I said that day, but for everything. For not being the sister-in-law you deserved. For not standing up to Daniel. For enabling his behavior because it was easier than confronting my own issues. I forgive you, I said, and realized I meant it. Really. Really. Holding on to anger was eating me alive. Letting it go doesn't mean what you did was okay, but it means I'm choosing peace over pain. I don't expect us to be friends. Good, because that's probably not going to happen, I said with a laugh. But we can be civil. We can coexist. Hell, Maybe someday we can even be friendly. I'd like that. We hung up and I sat there feeling lighter than I had in years. Marcus came home that evening to find me cooking dinner, Emily helping by spreading flour everywhere, and me actually smiling about the mess. "Good day?" he asked, kissing my forehead. "Great day." I talked to Nessa. And I forgave her. Really forgave her, not just said the words. He pulled me close, flour and all. "How does it feel?" "Like I can finally breathe." Life continued. Emily started preschool. Marcus proposed expanding his business to Tucson. I got another promotion at work. We started trying for baby number 2. I ran into Nessa occasionally, at the grocery store, at the mall, once at a charity event. Each time we'd exchange polite greetings, maybe chat for a few minutes about safe topics like the weather or work. It was cordial, almost comfortable. Daniel actually started dating someone seriously. Patricia, the teacher I'd met at the wedding. She was good with Emily, which was all I cared about. He seemed happy, more stable than I'd seen him in years. I was glad for him in a distant way. In October 2025, Emily's 3rd birthday, we had a party at our house. Friends, family, a bouncy castle in the backyard. Daniel came with Patricia. My parents flew in from Miami. And, in a move that surprised everyone including myself, I invited Nessa. "Are you sure?" Marcus had asked when I suggested it. "Yeah. Think I am. She's still Daniel's sister, which makes her Emily's aunt. And Emily should know her family, even the complicated parts." Nessa showed up with a thoughtful gift for Emily, art supplies and a kid's easel, and spent the party being polite, staying out of the way, genuinely trying to connect with Emily without overstepping. At one point she and I ended up alone in the kitchen refilling snack bowls. "Thank you for inviting me," she said quietly. "Thank you for coming. Emily's beautiful. You and Marcus are doing an amazing job with her." "Thanks. She's pretty great." Nessa arranged crackers on a plate, not looking at me. "I've been thinking a lot about that day. When you found Daniel with Ashley in my apartment. About what I said to you." "Nessa. No, let me say this. I was so wrong. So incredibly wrong. And I think part of why I said it was because I'd normalized infidelity so much in my own mind that I couldn't recognize how devastating it was. I made your pain smaller so I didn't have to confront my own role in it." "I know. And I forgave you, remember?" "I know. But I needed to say it again. Especially here in your home, surrounded by the beautiful life you've built. You deserved better than what Daniel and I put you through." "I did. But I got better eventually. I got Marcus and Emily's thriving and I'm happy. Really happy. I can see that. And I'm working on getting there myself. Therapy's helping. Being single is helping. Figuring out who I am outside of relationships is helping." "Good. I'm proud of you." She looked up at me, tears in her eyes. Are we going to be okay?" "Eventually." I thought about it. About all the pain and anger and revenge and hurt. About the journey from that awful day in her apartment to this moment in my kitchen. "Yeah," I said. "I think we are." We hugged briefly and then Emily ran in demanding cake, and the moment passed into something ordinary, something almost normal. October 2026. Emily was 4. I was 6 months pregnant with our second daughter. Marcus had expanded his business to Tucson. My career was flourishing. Life was good. I got a letter in the mail one Saturday. Handwritten envelope, my name and address in familiar handwriting. "NASA." I opened it on the porch while Marcus and Emily played in the backyard. "Dear Becca, I'm writing this letter because my therapist suggested it would be good for me to articulate everything I've learned over the past 2 years. She said I should write it but never send it, but I'm sending it anyway because I think you deserve to see it. You were right about everything. About Daniel, about me, about the toxic patterns I'd internalized and perpetuated. About how I enabled his behavior and then tried to gaslight you into accepting it. About how I had no right to judge your pain or diminish your very valid response to betrayal. I spent most of my life thinking that love meant accepting whatever treatment men gave you. My mother taught me that. My experiences reinforced it. And then I taught it to Daniel and we both hurt you in the process. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. You've already given me that more graciously than I deserved. I'm writing to tell you that you changed my life. Not just by sleeping with Marcus, though I won't lie and say that didn't teach me a harsh lesson about how betrayal feels. But by showing me, through your strength and resilience, what it looks like to demand better. What it looks like to say, I deserve more than this and mean it. I'm dating someone new now. His name is Robert. He's a therapist himself, ironically. When I told him my whole messy history, including what I did to you and what you did to me, he said something that stuck with me. He said, sometimes we need to feel our own medicine to understand why we should never prescribe it to others. You prescribed me my own medicine and it was bitter and awful and exactly what I needed. I'm not saying you should have done it, that's not my call to make. But I am saying that it woke me up in a way nothing else could have. I'm better now. Healthier. More self-aware. I'm building a relationship with Robert based on honesty and respect, not on enabling and excusing bad behavior. I'm reconnecting with Daniel in a healthier way too. We're both in therapy working through our childhood issues together. And I'm grateful to you. For the forgiveness, yes. But also for the lesson. For showing me that actions have consequences, that betrayal hurts, that I couldn't just enable destruction without facing destruction myself. I hope your pregnancy is going well. I hope Emily is thriving. I hope Marcus is everything you deserve. And I hope someday if Emily ever asks about her Aunt Vanessa, you'll tell her that people can change. That even when we hurt each other terribly, there's a path forward if we're willing to walk it. Thank you for walking it with me. With gratitude and respect, Nessa. I sat there on the porch steps crying quietly, Marcus's jacket around my shoulders even though it wasn't cold. These were different tears than the ones I'd cried in October 2022 when my world fell apart. These were tears of release, of closure, of something that felt remarkably like peace. Marcus came around the corner, Emily on his shoulders, both of them laughing about something. When he saw my face, his expression shifted to concern. What's wrong? I held up the letter. Nothing's wrong. Everything's actually right. He set Emily down. She immediately ran off to chase a butterfly, and sat beside me on the steps. I handed him the letter and watched his face as he read it. Wow, he said when he finished. That's, wow. I know. How do you feel? Free, I said simply. Finally, completely free. He kissed my temple. You earned this, you know. This peace. You could have stayed bitter and angry forever and no one would have blamed you. But you didn't. Neither did you. We're pretty great, aren't we? He said with a grin. The greatest. Emily came running back. Mama. Baby kicking. I put her little hand on my belly and right on cue her sister kicked. Emily's face lit up with wonder. She's saying hello, Emily declared. She is, I agreed, pulling my daughter close. This was what mattered. Not revenge, not vindication, not making anyone feel what I'd felt. This. Marcus and Emily and the baby on the way, the house we'd made a home, the life we'd built from the ashes of betrayal. I looked at Marcus, really looked at him. You know what I realized? What? We could have met 100 different ways. At a coffee shop, through friends, at a work event. We could have fallen in love without any of the pain or revenge or complicated history. But if we had, I don't think I would have appreciated you the way I do now. I needed to go through everything with Daniel to recognize what real love looks like. And you needed to go through everything with Nessa to do the same. So you're saying our ex's betrayals were actually good things? No. They were terrible things. But we turned them into something good. That's the difference. He pulled me closer, careful of my pregnant belly. I love you, Becca Martinez Sullivan. I love you too. Emily wedged herself between us. Love you three. Love you three too, Munchkin. We sat there on the porch steps as the Arizona sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and purple. A family built from broken pieces, put back together into something stronger than what we'd started with. By July 2025, I gave birth to our second daughter, Sophia Grace. 7 pounds 8 ounces with Marcus's blue eyes and a full head of dark hair. Emily was obsessed with her little sister, wanting to help with everything from diaper changes to bath time. Daniel came to meet Sophia when she was a week old. He brought Patricia and a thoughtful gift, a silver rattle engraved with her name. She's beautiful, he said, looking at Sophia with an expression I couldn't quite read. Congratulations. Thank you. We stood there awkwardly for a moment. This man I'd once loved more than anything, who'd destroyed our marriage, who'd given me Emily but taken away my faith in forever. Can I ask you something? He said quietly, while Patricia was cooing over Sophia with Marcus. Sure. Do you hate me? Still. I thought about it. Really thought about it. No. I don't hate you. I don't think I even hate what you did anymore because if you hadn't done it, I wouldn't have Marcus. I wouldn't have Sophia. I wouldn't have this life. That's generous of you. It's not generosity. It's just truth. You hurt me, Daniel. You hurt me worse than I'd ever been hurt. But I survived it. I thrived after it. And now I'm grateful for the life I have, even if I had to go through hell to get here. For what it's worth, he said, I really am sorry. Not just sorry I got caught, but sorry I did it. Sorry I was too immature and selfish to appreciate what I had with you. I know. And I forgive you. I forgave you a long time ago. Patricia called him over to look at something Emily was showing them, and he went, leaving me holding my new daughter and feeling remarkably at peace with the man who'd once been my entire world. Nessa visited the next day, bringing a handmade baby blanket she'd knitted herself. You knit? Asked surprised. New hobby. Therapy recommendation. It's actually really calming. She looked at Sophia with such tenderness. She's perfect, Becca. She really is. Listen, I was wondering, would you be open to me having a relationship with both girls? As their aunt? I know I don't deserve it after everything, but I'm trying to be better. I want to be the aunt they deserve. I looked at Marcus, who nodded slightly. Then I looked back at Nessa. Yes. But there are ground rules. Of course. Anything. You respect our boundaries. You support our parenting decisions even if you disagree. You model healthy relationships for them. And if you ever enable or excuse cheating again, we're done. Completely done. I won't. I promise. And if I ever slip back into old patterns, I want you to call me out immediately. Oh, I will, I said with a slight smile. She laughed. I believe you. Emily came running in. Oh, Nessa. Want to see my baby sister? I'd love to, sweetheart. I watched Nessa carefully hold Sophia while Emily supervised, giving very serious instructions about how to support the baby's head, and I felt something shift one final time. The last piece of anger, the last shred of resentment simply dissolved. This was my family now. Complicated, messy, built from betrayal and revenge and forgiveness and growth. But it was mine, and it was real, and it was good. Marcus and I had been married for 4.5 years. I was now director of marketing at my company. Marcus had successfully expanded his business to both Tucson and Flagstaff. We'd moved to a bigger house in Gilbert to accommodate our growing family. I was having lunch with Jasmine at our usual spot in Tempe when she brought it up. You know what I realized the other day? She said, sipping her iced tea. What? You never told me how you really feel about everything that happened. Like the revenge part. Do you regret it? I set down my fork. It was a question I'd been asking myself for years. Do I regret sleeping with Marcus to hurt Nessa? Honestly, I don't know. It's complicated. Complicated how? Part of me thinks it was petty and wrong. That two wrongs don't make a right, and I should have taken the high road from the start. That I let myself become the kind of person who hurts others deliberately, and that's not who I want to be. And the other part? The other part thinks Nessa needed to learn what betrayal felt like. That she'd spent her whole life enabling it and excusing it, and sometimes the only way to teach someone is to make them experience what they've inflicted on others. The other part thinks that if I hadn't done it, she'd still be the same person who told me to accept my husband's cheating because that's what men do. So which part do you listen to? Both. I think it's possible to acknowledge that what I did worked. It did change her, did wake her up, while also acknowledging that it wasn't the most ethical path. I could have just walked away, never looked back, let karma handle Nessa in its own time. That I became karma. And that's complicated. Jasmine nodded thoughtfully. For what it's worth, I don't judge you for it. You were hurt and angry and you hurt back. That's human. But I want to be better than human. I want to be the person who doesn't need revenge to feel whole. Are you that person now? I thought about it. I'm getting there. I don't think about revenge anymore. I don't take satisfaction in other people's pain. When Nessa told me about Jake cheating, I didn't feel vindicated. I felt compassion. So yeah, I'm getting there. Then maybe that's what matters. Not where you were, but where you are now. Maybe. We finished lunch and said our goodbyes, but her question stayed with me for days. That weekend I was putting Emily to bed when she asked me a question that made my heart stop. Mama, why doesn't Daddy live with us? I'd been expecting this question for years, but it still caught me off guard. Well, sweetie, Daddy and I used to be married, but we're not anymore. Sometimes grown-ups decide they're better as friends than as husband and wife. But you and Daddy aren't friends. You're just polite. Smart kid. You're right. We're not friends. But we both love you and Sophia very much and we work together to take care of you. That's what matters. Did Daddy do something bad? Daddy made some choices that hurt me. But people make mistakes and we learn from them. Your daddy loves you and he's a good father to you. That's what you need to know. What about Aunt Nessa? Why didn't you like her before? Aunt Nessa made some mistakes too. But she worked hard to become a better person and now we're friends. People can change if they really want to. Emily considered this. If people can change, why didn't you and Daddy stay married? Couldn't he change? Out of the mouths of babes. That's a good question, honey. The truth is, by the time Daddy wanted to change, I'd already been hurt too much. Sometimes even when someone changes, the relationship is too broken to fix. And that's sad, but it's also okay because it led me to Marcus and Marcus led me to Sophia. Do you understand? I think so. So bad things can lead to good things. Exactly. Like how you always burn the cookies, but then we get to make new ones together and making them is more fun than eating them anyway. I laughed. Yes, exactly like that. She snuggled into her pillow. I'm glad you found Marcus. He's a good daddy. Me too, baby. Me too. In September 2025, Emily's 5th birthday party. We decided to have a big celebration this year. Backyard barbecue, pool party, tons of kids from her school. Daniel came with Patricia, who was now his wife. They'd gotten married in a small ceremony 6 months ago. My parents flew in from Miami. Jasmine brought her new boyfriend. And Nessa came with Robert, the therapist she'd been dating for over 2 years. It was strange having everyone in one place. All the players in this complicated story gathered around my pool eating burgers, watching kids splash and play. At one point I found myself standing with both Daniel and Nessa by the drink table. Well, this is awkward, Daniel said with a nervous laugh. Only if we make it awkward, I replied. Becca, Nessa said, I wanted to thank you for including us in Emily's life. For giving us a chance to be family even after everything. Emily deserves to know her family. All of it. Daniel cleared his throat. You've done an amazing job with the girls. With your life. I know I've said it before, but I'm genuinely happy for you. Thank you. I'm happy for you too. Patricia seems wonderful. She is. She's patient with me, calls me out when I'm being selfish, helps me be better. I wish. He trailed off. What? I wish I'd been that person when we were together. The person who deserved you. You weren't ready, I said simply. And honestly, I don't think I was ready either. I thought I was, but I had a lot of growing to do too. Nessa spoke up. Can I say something? To both of you. We nodded. I'm sorry. To both of you. Daniel, I'm sorry for enabling your worst impulses instead of calling you out. Becca, I'm sorry for hurting you and then trying to justify it. You both deserved better from me. We've forgiven you, I said. Both of us. Right, Daniel? Right. Water under the bridge. Not water under the bridge, Nessa corrected. That implies we should forget it happened. I don't want to forget. I want to remember so I never do it again. Fair enough, Daniel said. Water that we've acknowledged, learned from and moved past. Better, Nessa agreed. Marcus came over, Sophia on his hip. What's this, a summit of exes? Something like that, I said, taking Sophia from him. We're just acknowledging how far we've all come. Pretty far, Marcus agreed. He extended his hand to Daniel. Thanks for coming. I know it's not easy. Daniel shook his hand. Thanks for being good to my daughter. And to Becca. Always. Patricia joined us and then Robert, and suddenly we were this bizarre group of interconnected people, all of whom had hurt each other or been hurt by each other at some point, now standing together at a 7-year-old's birthday party like it was the most natural thing in the world. You know what's wild? Jasmine said, appearing with a plate of cake. 5 years ago this gathering would have ended in tears or bloodshed. Now you're all just fine. How did that happen? Therapy, Nessa and Robert said at the same time, then laughed. Time, Daniel added. Forgiveness, Patricia said. Work, Marcus contributed. A lot of work from everyone. They all looked at me waiting for my answer. Grace, I said finally. We all extended grace to each other even when it was hard. Even when we didn't want to. That's how. Emily came running up, soaking wet from the pool. Mama. Time for cake. Okay, birthday girl. Let's do this. We all gathered around the table. Me and Marcus, Daniel and Patricia, Nessa and Robert, my parents, Jasmine and her boyfriend, all the kids from Emily's class. I lit the candles while everyone sang, "Happy Birthday," and I looked around at the faces gathered there. This was my life. Messy and complicated and built from ruins, but mine. And it was beautiful in its imperfection. Emily blew out her candles and everyone cheered. "What did you wish for?" Sophia asked her big sister. "Can't tell or it won't come true," Emily said. But she looked at me and smiled, and I had a feeling her wish had something to do with all of us being together, being family despite everything. And honestly, that was my wish 2.5 years after I married Marcus. A lifetime of growth and pain and healing. My therapist. Yes, I finally started seeing one too. Suggested I write a letter to myself from October 2022. To the woman I was in that moment of devastating discovery. I went to find Marcus. He was in our bedroom reading reports for work. "Hey," I said, climbing into bed beside him. "Can I ask you something?" "Always. If you could go back to the beginning, would you still choose me? Knowing everything that happened, all the complications, the revenge aspect, would you still choose me?" He set down his papers and pulled me close. In a heartbeat. "Would you choose me? Even though part of why I pursued you was to hurt Nessa?" "Becca, you've asked me this question in different ways about 100 times. And my answer is always the same. Yes. I choose you every single time. Because whatever brought us together, what keeps us together is real. It's love and respect and partnership and all the things that matter. But don't you ever wonder what would have happened if we'd met under different circumstances? Sure. But we didn't. We met the way we met. And I'm grateful for it because it led me to you." I kissed him long and deep. "I love you. I love you too. Now can we please stop questioning our origin story? We're married with 2 kids. I think we're stuck with each other." I laughed. "Stuck with each other. That's romantic." "I'm very romantic. That's why you married me." "Sure. That's why." We lay there in comfortable silence for a while, and I thought about the letter I'd just written. About the path I'd taken versus the path I could have taken. About revenge and grace and everything in between. Marcus. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For being the kind of man who made me believe in love again. For choosing me every day. For being a father to Emily and Sophia. For all of it. You're welcome. And Becca. Yeah. Thank you for taking a chance on a broken guy at a bar. For seeing past my engagement to your ex-sister-in-law. For building this life with me. For all of it. We fell asleep like that, tangled together, our complicated history behind us and our uncertain future ahead of us, but facing it together. If this were a movie, this is where I'd tell you that revenge is always wrong, that I regret everything, that the high road is always the right road. But this isn't a movie. It's my life. And the truth is more complicated than that. Did I set out to hurt Nessa the way she hurt me? Yes. Did it work? Yes. Did she learn from it, grow from it, become a better person because of it? Also yes. But did I become a worse person in the process? Maybe. Or maybe I became a more complicated person, one who understands both the desire for revenge and its cost. Here's what I know now that I didn't know then. Revenge doesn't heal you. It might give you temporary satisfaction, but it doesn't erase your pain. Only time and work and forgiveness do that. 2 wrongs don't make a right, but sometimes they lead to growth. What I did to Nessa was wrong. What she did to me was wrong. But both wrongs led to change, to therapy, to self-reflection, to growth. That doesn't justify either wrong, but it does complicate the narrative. The high road and the low road can sometimes lead to the same place. Nessa changed because I hurt her. But maybe she would have changed anyway, eventually, through some other painful experience. I'll never know. What I do know is that we both ended up in a better place. Her more self-aware and healthy. Me happier and more loved. The path there was messy, but the destination is good. Love built on revenge can still be real love. Marcus and I started for complicated reasons. But what we have now is genuine, built on years of choosing each other, supporting each other, growing together. The foundation might have been shaky, but the house we built on it is solid. Forgiveness is harder than revenge, but more powerful. It was easy to sleep with Marcus, to hurt Nessa. It was hard to forgive her, to help her when she called me crying, to let her be part of my daughter's lives. But the forgiveness brought me peace in a way the revenge never did. You can't outrun your actions. Even now, even with all the growth and healing and happiness, I sometimes lie awake wondering what kind of person I became in those months of pursuing Marcus. I used to think I was better than people who hurt others deliberately. Finding out I wasn't, that given enough pain I was capable of it too, changed my self-perception forever. So was it worth it? I have Marcus. I have Sophia. I have a healed relationship with Nessa. I have a complicated but workable co-parenting relationship with Daniel. I have peace most of the time. But I also have the knowledge that I'm capable of cruelty. That I can hurt people deliberately when I'm wounded. That revenge feels good in the moment but leaves a bitter aftertaste that lingers for years. Was it worth it? Ask me on a good day when Marcus and I are laughing with the girls, when Nessa sends a funny text, when everything feels light and easy, and I'll say yes. It all worked out. Everyone's better off. Ask me on a bad day when I'm lying awake at 3 a.m. thinking about the person I was versus the person I wanted to be, and I'll say no. I should have been stronger. I should have taken the high road. I should have been better than my worst impulses. The truth is probably somewhere in between. I'm not sorry for divorcing Daniel. I'm not sorry for falling in love with Marcus. I'm not sorry for building this beautiful, complicated life. But I am sorry for using Marcus to hurt Nessa, even if I did end up loving him. I'm sorry for making revenge my motivation even if it led to good things. I'm sorry for being the kind of person who needed to hurt someone else to feel whole, even if I've grown past that now. Life isn't a fairy tale. It's messy and complicated and full of gray areas. Sometimes good people do bad things. Sometimes bad actions lead to good outcomes. Sometimes revenge teaches important lessons. Sometimes forgiveness sets you free. And sometimes you have to hold all of these contradictions in your heart at once and just live with it. That's where I am now. Living with it. Making peace with the complicated truth of my choices and their consequences. I hurt Nessa. She hurt me first. We both grew. We're both better now. It's complicated. And maybe that's okay. Maybe life is supposed to be complicated. Maybe the point isn't to be perfect but to keep growing, keep learning, keep trying to be better than you were yesterday. I'm trying. We're all trying. And for now that's enough. Don't forget to subscribe and comment.